Tonight, we're going to start in the heart of Melbourne CBD, where there is a dynamic couple bringing light, and that is Rebbetzin Rochel Gutnick, together with her husband, Rabbi David of East Melbourne Shul, and their 5 boys who range from 15 to 2. Welcome, Rochel. You are a Rebbetzin, a hard worker, a loving wife, and a loving mother. Please, can you tell us tonight about the journey that you've been on with your younger son, who is just 2 years old, and how you've transformed this darkness into light?
Thank you so much, Tali. Good evening, everyone. It's so nice to see some of your familiar faces. And to those who I don't know, hello, and I hope you can gain some inspiration from the story that I will share with you tonight. Tonight's theme, transitioning from darkness to light, I feel is such a perfect caption for the journey that we've been on with our youngest son, Shimon. Those who know me and my family well will already know the story, but I do hope others can draw some inspiration from it. 2.5 years ago, when I was 20 weeks pregnant and going for a routine ultrasound, the sonographer discovered that my baby had something wrong with his heart. And it was then that he was diagnosed with a severe form of congenital heart disease. It was at that moment that our world was rocked from its predictable and stable hum, and we were plunged into this whirlwind of worry and fear. Throughout our next appointments, the doctors talked us through the proposed treatment for this particular heart defect and gave us the sobering statistics around it. Medical intervention would be needed for my baby from day dot, and he was to undergo a series of 3 open heart surgeries, 2 performed within the first few months of his life. We were called to go for a tour of the PICU at the Royal Children's Hospital. We met with the director of pediatric cardiology there, as well as a cardiac surgeon, and they all spoke with us compassionately, kindly, and prepped us as best as they could for what we could expect. But they also cautioned us to have no expectations at all, as outcomes varied hugely from child to child with this defect. Our journey would just have to follow the lead of our baby, and obviously all be driven by Hashem. As we absorbed all of this, the darkness set in. Now, to me, that darkness felt like all this unknown, so much uncertainty, so much fear, and the exhaustion of staring mortality right in the face day in, day out. Would our baby be able to take his first breath when he was born? Would he make it through that first surgery as a tiny newborn, the riskiest of all? Would he be well enough to go home between the first 2 surgeries? Would he ever get a chance to grow and thrive and attend mainstream school and lead a full life? No one could tell us. At that point, David and I knew we just had to build our own reserves to gain the fortitude that we needed for whatever lay ahead. I told David, it's like we've been training for this our whole lives. We both grew up in Chabad families and attended Chabad schools, and we were taught so much about the power of trusting in God, the power of prayer and reciting Psalms, the power of thinking positively. And now it was crunch time. We were faced with a real test, and we had to own up and think, or were we just paying lip service to all these ideals, or had we actually internalized them enough to use them as tools that we can draw on when we need it? We had our work cut out for us, and we strove to remain strong and positive and go on with looking after our other 4 children, running our home, and of course, our lovely show, East Melbourne. Hello, Danny Siegel. A little call out to the president. On Lag BaOmer of 2018, on what is now my favorite day in the Jewish calendar, our baby was born with a full medical team present, and that's when the real journey began. It's too much to get into in these 5 minutes that I have, but the bulk of the next 6 months, we were spending with him in hospital, where he went through 2 open heart surgeries, countless other tests and scans, MRIs, medications, everything. Lots of ups and downs. Sometimes he would take a small step forward and then be faced with all these setbacks and hurdles. During that time, there were moments of desperation and high anxiety, and also, interestingly, glimmers of light and hope. The flashes of light that we experienced then could come from within, or more often, from interactions with staff around us who were urging us to remain positive, and interactions with family, friends, and our community. The kindness shown to us throughout this whole ordeal was so uplifting and made the whole thing much easier to bear, and will remain with us always. It came in all sorts of ways. It could be a friend choosing to move into the hospital to be with me for Shabbos. It could be a community member messaging me that she's about to go to the supermarket and I should send her my shopping list. Or it could be someone I hardly know reaching out and letting me know that she had been saying Psalms with her children for my baby every day. All of these were just such a lifeline to us and really helped us get through our most trying times. Another thing I've learned was that sometimes a slight change in perspective could be the key to positivity. I'll give you one example. When Shimon was roughly 10 days old, in ICU, having just a few days ago undergone a big open heart surgery, he was there on a ventilator, hooked up to machines and everything. And I was just sitting there looking at him when I saw him start to cry. Now, for those of you who've had experience, you would know that when someone is intubated, it actually blocks the vocal cords, and so no sound could be heard. But I could see on his face that he was crying, even though I couldn't hear him. I got so distressed and scared. And the nurse in the room very quickly and efficiently checked the morphine, checked his sedation, checked everything, all the lines and medications, and eventually discovered that Shimon had a full nappy. He changed his nappy, and the baby settled. This was so eye-opening for me. It was such a reminder that underneath all the worry and fear and all the tubes and everything going on is just a little baby who has very simple needs. It's so easy to get carried away and to get overwhelmed by the big picture of anxieties and fear, but sometimes we just need a little reminder that underneath it all could be something really simple and meaningful and is godly. I think of this now when I walk with Shimon through Fitzroy Gardens, and yes, I'm wearing a mask, and yes, the playground is closed, and yes, my children are home from school, and we haven't been able to visit our grandparents or my children's grandparents in too long, and I missed my sister's wedding overseas. But what do I have? I have the pure, simple joy of meandering through a park with my thriving 2-year-old, whose journey is not over, but finds so much joy in just collecting rocks and sticks. And that is precious. So what I want to leave you with tonight is that when we navigate through life's challenges, it could be COVID, which we're facing right now, or anything else, there's room for light and support even within that journey. We can tap into inner reserves. We can find strength and faith within. We can reach out to other community members. There are people there so willing to help, so willing to share the load with us. There are resources available to us. We should reach out for them and use them. And we can try to look for the simple joys in life that we may have been taking for granted until now. Thank you so much, and I hope all darkness in the world will transform to joy speedily in our days. Thank you.
Thank you so much for opening up about your remarkable journey and again explaining the darkness and the fear and the unknown that comes with it, but also sharing with us your glimmers of light and your tools, and again reminding us about reserves of inner strength, finding community and friendship support and joy in simple things. That's amazing lessons for right now. And may he continue to thrive. He's lucky to have such a wonderful family and community.